Hello, everybody. How are you doing? This is Steve Rao. I want to welcome you to the live edition of the Leaders and Legends RadioNyra podcast and show. And we are hoping that you're having a wonderful day today. And we have a great guest today in the Leader Show. You know, we often talk about entrepreneurship, innovation, job creation. And today we have a leader who runs an organization called First Flight. She's a friend of mine, Krista Covey. And we talk about launching ventures. And we promised this interview we're going to be cruising at a comfortable cruising altitude. I love the flying metaphors. But
I appreciate it.
Thank you for being here with us, Krista.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Steve. This is a great opportunity. Thank you for the invitation. I'm excited for the conversation.
Yeah, great. So tell me, First Flight, many of us, if you're driving on Davis Drive towards IBM, you see it there on the left.
Yeah.
For many years, I didn't really know what it was. Can you tell us a little bit about the mission of First Flight, who you are, a little bit of the history, and your role there as the CEO?
Absolutely. So First Flight Venture Center was started in 1991. We are actually a spin out of the North Carolina Department of Commerce. We are not state funded, but we're an innovation and an entrepreneurship hub. So we're working with early stage, we call high science, deep tech, but ultimately high impact startup companies. And so we're serving about 700-800 companies each year, and about 30 to 40 resident companies at the physical space at 2 Davis Drive in the heart of the Research Triangle Park. And it's interesting that you said, you used to drive by there and not really sure what it was. And we used to get a lot of comments like, oh gosh, I thought it was a flight school or something, but no, we were.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of us know who you are, but there might be people right there that are driving around the park, and they just don't really know what you do. So.
That's right. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk about First Flight and to share the mission, because as a 501c3 nonprofit mission-based organization, our goal is really to help these companies, these founders, right? It's not even, we're working with individuals that don't even have a company formed yet. It's just an idea. Right. Maybe they're a brilliant scientist, an engineer, or a tinkerer, and they have a good idea on how to solve some of the world's toughest problems, but they don't know how to start a business. And so we meet them right where they're at.
So how does that work? It's called High Impact, High Science. It's kind of your new branding, and we're going to talk a little bit at the end about the high flyer lunch you have at the end of every year. But talk about, so how does it work? I'm an entrepreneur. Are they mostly in life sciences, pharmaceuticals, all of the above?
All of the above. So high science and deep tech, it's very broad. So there's typically some type of scientific underpinning or technical underpinning. Could be hardware, software, could be ag tech, ag bio, which falls under the life sciences. Biotech is huge, obviously being in the Research Triangle Park. I mean, that's such a great industry for North Carolina. But we also do all the techs: blue tech, clean tech, climate tech, fintech, green tech, all of it. Okay. I'd say sometimes it's easier to say who we don't traditionally serve than who we do. Anybody's welcome. But our focus is really these new novel technologies that have major impact. You're saving lives, you're making our world better, safer, or healthier. And so there's a significant impact to society from the innovators.
How much economic impact have you all had in the area?
Significant. So we are an economic development powerhouse for the state of North Carolina. We have the companies that have just come through our residential incubator program. So meaning these were startups that used our offices, labs, mentors, community of support, all the different programs that we have. Those companies alone, we've graduated at over 430. I think it's maybe even closer to 450 now. They have $26 billion in market capitalization for the state of North Carolina.
26 billion.
Billion with a B,
folks.
That's right.
Billion.
Yes.
Wow.
So there's thousands of jobs that are associated with that. There's economic impact. These are new company starts. These are companies that are, investing in North Carolina, investing in the community, helping to raise skill levels, right? So they're creating layers of economic opportunity for perhaps even students that want to work in a lab or an office or a company that, eventually want to be a CEO or be an entrepreneur and start their own company, which I hope so one day. Yeah. but it's an economic powerhouse for our state. So
And one thing before I go to the next question,
Yeah.
job creation. Elaine
Yeah.
Marshall's often talked about how small businesses are on the uptick, that for every
That's
small
right.
business we can create about 5 jobs. We're going to be
Mhm.
reaching out to Tom Rue to come on. But how excited are you? How do you think this is affecting job creation when these companies do get funding and they make it big? Are they hiring, and you think that's good for our economic strategy for the state?
Absolutely, that's how they have to have that that support. They're we know incubation. So an incubator is one of our 14 different programs, but having that support is significant for our startup companies. So traditionally, only 4 out of 5 companies make it to the 5-year mark, and that is not a good statistic. The 5-year benchmark is critical because those are sustained jobs. Those, the company has validation at that point, and so it's really important to get to that 5-year mark. However, if that 4 out of 5 don't make it, that's not a good statistic. But if they go through an incubator program, they're 87% successful after 5 years. That's a big win.
And they get an office space, and they get
That's
access
right.
to mentoring and all that. And we're going to bring you back.
Yeah.
We might bring you in as a frequent guest because there's so much to unpack here. But that's fascinating.
I'll just
Yeah.
make one more comment
Please.
on that. So out of those 87% successes, 84% stay in the community that housed them. So that is important for North Carolina. North Carolina makes the investment into these companies, and they are staying here. They're creating the jobs, they're bringing wealth, they're bringing the skill sets. So yeah.
That's really great. Now let's talk a little bit. We're going to talk about maybe some individual companies to watch out for. But
Yeah.
talk to you. You recently went on a trip to India,
I did.
and we obviously have a lot of Indian Americans
Yes.
and business listeners. Tell us what about that trip? Where did you go, and what came out of it, and what kinds of partnerships are we seeking with India? How can we work with India?
Yes,
other
I just
nations?
think so. We have so much opportunity. I mean, India is a powerhouse, and the first initial trip was looking at how we can work with other ag tech, ag bio innovators in India who were looking to expand into the U.S. market and understand how to do business in the U.S. And what a great place we have here. It's a soft landing. We've got a great Indian community. We've got great Indian restaurants, frankly.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that on the show. We want to know what your favorite Indian
That's
food
right.
is. Okay.
So there's so many wonderful. It's a really nice soft landing site for companies that want to expand here. And First Flight serves as a great turnkey provider for those soft landing companies that they need office, lab space, a community of support, introductions, a warm, welcoming environment. And so on this initial trip, I made some wonderful friends in India that invited me to come to do a presentation at a conference. It was an ag tech conference. And so I did that, talked about North Carolina, all the assets that we have here, and asked if anybody was interested in being hosted at First Flight, and I had a line out the door. So it was pretty exciting.
That's great. And so the idea is we have an economic development office in Bengaluru.
We do.
Governor Stein's talking about, or Commerce is thinking about going over there one
That's
day
right.
soon. And so the idea was if a company wants to invest, whether a startup, they can come here.
That's right.
And First Flight would be a partner. Well, that's great. And if there's anything we can do, if you're listening to the show, we'll have her contact information about India. If you have other Indian companies that want to come here,
Yes.
we'll reach out to you. That's great.
Absolutely. I mean, we want to be that introduction to the ecosystem too. Obviously, EDPNC, fantastic partners. RTRP, fantastic partners. And from First Flight's perspective, we can be a really quick, easy turnkey solution for somebody that wants to soft land here. So a lot of times you've got large scaling companies that are Indian international companies, and they're not sending 500 right away. They're sending maybe 2, and that's great. That is, if they need a small office or lab space, that's super easy. And so that's where we fill in that gap.
A couple more questions before we get to the leadership part. But
Sure.
you travel a lot around the country, around the world.
Yeah.
We're all seeing a momentum in our startup ecosystem.
Yes.
The recent news of Scott Wingo getting a $13 million seed round at RefuBuy, and there's so many other successes. What's going well for the Triangle region right now for startups?
so many things, and I highly recommend having Tom Rue, my friend,
Yeah,
from
I'm reaching out to him
yes,
now.
on this
Yeah,
podcast.
he's my friend too. I got a few months out on him, but
Yes, Tom and team, the entire NCIDA team
he's a great man.
amazing.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
So that's definitely a win for the ecosystem, and I think we're seeing. So one thing to point out is that for those of us that are in mission-based organizations serving the innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem, we work together. We're in this for a good, the good work. And so how much better can we be in service of North Carolina if we can all do this work together, right?
Yeah,
so I have to say that. But no matter where an entrepreneur, it's kind of like this no wrong door approach. So if you contact NCID, if you contact First Light, if you contact, any other, the universities, we are working together so that there should be no wrong door. The entrepreneur can get access depending on what specific needs they have. So a lot of that is dependent on the industry, right? And ag, it's maybe somebody that's investing in row crops is going to have a different need than somebody that's building a drone. But the point for us is that we can connect them to the right people, the right resources. And I'd say that's a big win for what we have in RTP and in North Carolina, is that you've got great assets, you've got great talent, you've got great university, and you've got an infrastructure here and an ecosystem that is helpful and wanting innovators to be successful.
Okay, the ecosystem. What about capital? We often hear that's harder for folks to get money. Do you think the Tweener Fund, which, if you're listening, is Scott Wingo's model of giving funding to those smaller companies with smaller amounts of money? I mean, we could spend another show on this, but what are your thoughts about how we can get better? Are we getting better in that for funding?
We're making some big headways, and I would say, again, kudos to NCID. And I have to also, I do serve on the board, so I'm a little bit biased, I think. But this is a major effort, for a lot of stakeholders, and Scott and Tom and team, have been working on
providing funding,
providing the funding
to
make sure that we're going beyond just RTP, but the entire state. And so this accelerated Tweener Fund is going to be critical. That's a critical need for our innovators and entrepreneurs. We are not where we need to be on the capital stack right now for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
It is still too tough. I do feel like some of our most innovative companies are still feeling like and still having to go to the Bay Area, go to Boston, go elsewhere.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a shame, because that's a lost opportunity. We're losing companies, we're losing talent. We need to be intentional about investing in our North Carolina companies. What's also interesting too is I heard recently from Sugata with the Triangle Business Journal that even though they've got great readership, they're seeing a lot of their readers from Boston, from the Bay Area, because the investors know what talent we have. They know we've got the companies here.
Watching in on,
But they're still going out. So what do we do to change that? And I don't think that's everybody needs to. That's not a one individual or one program. That's everybody needs to pay attention to that.
Yeah, I mean that's great. Tell me a little bit about we're work on the funding thing.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about this is going great. We just such a great conversation. Tell me a little bit about what you see from the entrepreneurs that are successful. We have a lot of people listening to this show. I get a lot of people that want to start companies.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see as the success? Like Ed Burgard from Dignified Therapeutics, he was at the Launch Mooresville Hotivation program that I started many years ago, and he had success. Just as an example, what is it? Is it their persistence? Is their plan? Is it their discipline?
Yeah. So and Ed's wonderful, and Dignified is a First Flight company. So
that's right.
Yes. So they're doing great things. It's from the founder's perspective. One thing is coachability, being able to you can be brilliant, and you can have the best idea ever. But if you're not willing to build out a team and work with people and hear different perspectives, you're not gonna go very far alone. Right. So
just
So investing in good people is critical. Being coachable is critical. There are so many things that make a company successful, but I'd say one of the biggest thing is don't build something that people are not willing to pay for. If you're going to do, unless it's a hobby or something else, right? If you're going for a for-profit, if you're trying to, if you're investing your blood, sweat, tears, energy, money, personal finances in a company, make sure you're building it for someone who wants it and is willing to pay for it. So I see so many companies fail because they have this idea, but they don't have a market. And then sometimes you can have the best idea, but if you don't have the right leadership, if you don't have the right team, doesn't matter.
Right.
And sometimes you can have the half-baked idea, but you've got a great leader and you've got who's willing to build a team.
Right.
That can go far. So entrepreneurship is not a solo sport. It is a team sport.
Yes, team sport. Absolutely.
So
Go Canes, right?
That is absolutely right.
Yes. Well, I mean, and that's great. And I couldn't do this interview without asking something about AI. We've had a lot of leaders in AI. We've seen innovation occur in this area. The speed of innovation, what John Chambers said, about 5 times what the cloud was.
Yeah.
It's affecting jobs in terms of displacing jobs, but how much of it is an opportunity for startups in terms of being able to get their business plan written quicker, in terms of getting their plans going?
I think this is actually a great opportunity for a lot of the solo entrepreneurs who start out before they're building their team to kind of use AI to speed and accelerate their business models, kind of get creative, think about new ways, new markets for their ideas. So it's great for the information and it's great for speed, moving things and accelerating the innovation and the idea forward faster. So I do think it can be a huge benefit for a startup.
We're going to be bringing more leaders on AI and talking about kind of the AI strategy. And we're going to shift now into the leadership. Every leader has a story. You're a great leader in our community, our ecosystem. Tell me a little bit about your story. What brought you here? What do you like most about your job? What are some plans you have for First Flight? I know that there's some expansion plans and things like that, but start with your story. I know you're from Chicago area, right?
Yeah, so originally I'm from Chicago and my family moved to Florida, mainly to get warmer. So I did grow up in Florida. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So I was definitely the little kid that was selling the lemonade and sold hot dogs because the margins were higher and I was employing younger siblings. I'm the eldest of 4.
Oh, yeah.
So I was doing these things because I didn't have anything really. I was not not that I didn't. Let me rephrase that. My parents gave me a great childhood.
Yeah.
We just didn't have excess. And so if there was anything that I wanted or needed that wasn't an absolute necessity, I had to figure out how to get it. And so that taught me to be an entrepreneur. So I was always hustling in one way or another for, to save a little money, to do the things that I wanted to do. And so, but it was before I realized I was an entrepreneur. But it was really that innate drive. I don't think my parents knew what to do with me either because my dad was in ministry, my mom was a nurse. And I was always wanting to be in business and move ideas forward. And so after my undergrad, I started a company, and I did correspondent lending. So I successfully sold it, which was great. And then I got recruited to be in commercial and corporate lending, which was really hard and a great lesson. I worked 100-hour work weeks. But it was interesting because I loved entrepreneurship. I loved helping our founders. But at the bank, I was really trying to keep some of the companies that I was working with out of the special assets.
Yes.
And so I was looking for resources. How do I help this company? How do I help this founder? And so I really got introduced to the world of economic development and what it meant to help companies sustain and continue to grow, not shut down, but also attracting new businesses. But then what I find is some of the most important economic development initiatives is really helping to grow the community. It's a bottom-up approach to economic development. So it's understanding the assets of your community, investing in the community, investing in the talent that you already have, investing in the resources, and seeing the new innovation, the new company starts from that effort. And so I started my first incubator in Florida, in the Tampa Bay area. I like to say I drank the Kool-Aid and never looked back. I've truly found my passion.
Yeah, that's a great segue. Passion. Do you think passion is important for leadership?
Critical.
You can't be a leader if you don't create a culture. And what do you look for when you hire people? I mean,
so definitely passion. Yeah, you have to have a heart as a mission-based organization. it is critical that we have people that have the heart to serve. I mean, we are in service of our innovators and entrepreneurs. Our North Star is the companies and our founders that we're supporting. So it has to be all about them. And you have, if it's all about you, it's not going to work, right? And so that's one thing. So it's the heart. It's also people that care. It's also people that go above and beyond for the work and the mission.
Sometimes you might experience challenges even in your current role. I mean, how do you get back up? Do you have to have some kind of resilience, right? I mean,
Absolutely. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you have to be resilient because there's highs, there's lows, there's things that are completely out of your control, and you still have to keep on moving forward. And so, I like to say to my team often, it's like we have to practice what we preach, right? We're serving companies. We are an organization. I mean, we are a nonprofit. It's a tax test, but we're still a business, and we're not helping anyone if we're not sustainable, if we're not going to get through this. And so, but I think, I feel, we're in this unique position because it is a mission-based organization, but I feel so grateful. I love this work.
Yes.
I love it.
You love it. That's what you get up every day. You love what you do.
I love what I do. Not every day is easy, but boy, it is something I can get excited about. And I want the same thing. And I think this is true for my team too, where they can feel good about the work. You're helping people. You're helping people be successful. You're helping them feed themselves, feed their families, invest in their communities. Man, that feels good. And on top of that, we've got companies that are truly saving lives. And so,
that's great.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
It's hard not to get behind that, right?
Before we get into some of the leadership questions, which is my favorite part of the interview, on the leadership, we want to ask things about you that that we normally might not ask you at a networking event or whatever. And there's a lot of networking events that she leads and attends.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about your plans now. I mean, expansion, office space, what's going on?
Boys, First Flight has, truly, to use an aviation term, the sky's the limit with First Flight. We have had 35 years of success. And I'm looking at the next 35 years. We've recently undergone a $10 million renovation for the second oldest building in the Research Triangle Park. So I invite everybody to come see it. But we need more space, frankly. We are space constrained. We have 10 acres. I would love to develop that property. I need help from the General Assembly to do that. But that's the next wave. We've got some great ambitions with some significant companies that would like to co-locate with innovators, which will be amazing, but we also need graduation space. Our companies, when they're graduating from First Flight, they're occupying about 12,000 square feet of space on average. So, that means either they're staying at First Flight a little too long, or they just don't have space to grow into. And so, that's something. Yes.
That's great. We wish you well in those expansion efforts, and we're going to jump into what they call on the leadership, the Steve Rao rapid fire. And,
okay.
Nothing off the cuff here. Just but real quickly, any one or two companies that come to mind of just a real success story that came out of First Flight.
Oh well.
I know there's so many.
There's a lot. United Therapeutics is a huge one.
That's a big one.
So big, one of our largest graduate companies. Billions, I think 15 or plus $1 billion organization, saving lives. We also have, we had Advanced Liquid Logic, which sold, let's see, Babies started after that. So Babies, they're doing prenatal early screening.
And the High Flyer Awards, you can come in November.
November 20th.
We can go back and go to First Flights. Well, that's great. That's going to be a great event. Are you an early bird or a night owl? Go to bed early, wake up early?
Sometimes both, but more of a night owl, I would say.
Okay, great. And book, any favorite books you've read recently?
10X is easier than 2X. One of my favorites, yeah.
That's good. Of course, I have to ask, one or two of your favorite Indian foods?
Oh, gosh. Let's see. Dosa, let's see, I don't know, everything is like, I'm blanking,
It's
but
okay.
I like
She loves Indian food.
I love Indian food.
Oh, a couple more before we're done. What was one of your favorite parts of the India trip? First time.
The people. I met wonderful people. I felt so welcomed, and it was just lovely. I mean, it's a beautiful country, beautiful space, beautiful people.
That's fantastic. What I guess what do you think is the last question I'll ask today is what do you think is the most underrated trait of leadership that we talk about leaders a lot, but we don't? Is it culture, discipline? I mean, what is your opinion?
So I also think it's humility.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I meet a lot of individuals in leadership, and I think that's a trait that is not recognized and not
Because you got to
a lot of people don't demonstrate that.
Well, that's just fantastic. I mean, we've really enjoyed having you. Is there any place people can go learn more about First Flight?
Absolutely. ffvcnc.org is our website. So it's, First Flight Venture Center, North Carolina.org, ffvcnc.org. Stop by 2 Davis Drive. It is not a flight school. It is an innovation hub.
Well, I mean, this has been great. And, I probably forgot asking you some questions, but we're almost out of time. But we really want to thank you and your team for all that you do to make our region a strong, vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem. And we look forward to having you back. And as you're listening to this show, remember that job creation starts with the small businesses. Last week was Small Business Month, and we want to make sure that we're providing the funding and the resources and mentorship so that company like a Red Hat, like a SAS, like a Wolfspeed, which is no longer around, Pendo, a lot of these companies were all startups.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them came out of university, some of them were founded by founders, and look where they are today. So this is great news for North Carolina. But Krista Covey, thank you for your leadership. And you've been listening to Steve Rao on the Leaders and Legends podcast and show on RadioNyra. And we want to thank Ravi Chirukuri, who's also a great entrepreneur as well, the founder and manager of the station, bringing this world-class radio station to the Triangle region. Thank you all. Send us your ideas if you want to come on the show. Next week, we're going to have the legendary Rufus Edmiston in studio, which is exciting. I got to really get ready for that interview, but it's going to be fun. And thank you all so much. Be safe wherever you are, and thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.